What up? What up? What up?
Yay.
How's it going?
Good, good. It's Monday, so it must be time for
More You Know Mondays.
Well, it's the wrong one.
That was the wrong.
I'm on top of it today, buddy.
You know, one of these days we'll get it right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about the link thing, man. I got busy and I was all worried about getting this has been a Monday. That's all I can say. It's been a Monday. How are you doing,
the best
Jeff?
day of the week because we get to be right here.
That's right. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. Yeah, I had a busy weekend. Look, we got a bunch of people already in here. Las Cruces, as always, one of the first ones. What's up, Las Cruces? We got Robbie Prime. Hello, welcome. Todd Gog, what is up, buddy? Appreciate you coming by. And of course, we got Shutterduck and Gorilla. What's going on? All right.
Yeah, Todd said he watching Monday Night Football.
That's right, Titans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jeff's in Tennessee now. My
finally
team
got all our wide receivers back in, so I'm hoping this is gonna be good. Everyone's betting on the Bills to win here, but we got our wide receivers, man.
Well, next Monday, the Saints. So Saints in Seattle. So it'll be my game of the week for sure. Let's see. We got Todd here. We got Shutter Duck. We got our good friend Matthew Fox, big supporter of the channel since the very beginning. We always appreciate Matthew being here.
We always appreciate Matthew being here.
Yeah. Did we say hi? We said hi to Roby Prime, right?
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Bills are winning. All right. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Gallagher. I appreciate the updates.
Yeah, Todd's giving us Gogan's getting us updates there. All right. Man.
We've got a cool show today, something a little bit different, right?
It is a little bit different. So we get a lot of you and I get requests and stuff. And one thing we've had some people ask about is we do a lot about comic history and stuff, but they've asked about cleaning, pressing, storage, things like that. And about a month ago, I found this guy online because there's a lot of, channels that do comic pressing and things like that. But this guy just seems to do something a little different. And I really liked his personality. Definitely his link and stuff is below. But I reached out to him, asked if he would come on. And so tonight from Canada, from the Great White North, we've got Kevin, the Comic Doctor.
Hey, guys.
Kevin.
Hi there.
Hey, I feel like it should be a round of applause. We should have like some kind of thing with a round of applause, right?
Hi, Jeff and Shelby. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Like Shelby said, we got a lot of questions about that. Obviously I got my press set up over here. I like doing some of this stuff here, but I am a novice, so I love to learn from someone like you. So this is awesome having you here because there is a lot of stuff, and especially with this big boom we've had in the comic industry right now. One of the great things about that is people are preserving comics. Comics were dying in these back issue bins and 50-cent bins. Having the same board and bag that's been on there since the 70s.
Yes.
So it's great that everyone is kind of getting more knowledge around this and really taking care of our, the heritage that we have right now in comic books and really taking care of them. So we appreciate what you're doing here.
Well, thanks. It wasn't always like that, though. When I first started pressing and cleaning and doing it for other people, I was actually, I wouldn't call it hate mail, but I got a lot of people commenting and saying you shouldn't be doing that. So at one point, actually, cleaning and pressing was kind of frowned upon.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but now I think that since CGC started offering it through CCS and it became kind of a industry hobby norm, now it's most collectors have a press in their hobby room, right?
Right. You got the awesome expensive press back there. You got a couple of them, right?
Yeah, I wish my room was full of comic books and toys. This is what I really love, But and at one point, this space actually was full of my collection. But then, as the business grew, the presses came in, and so they're pretty big. I can do 9 books on this and 9 books on this one at the same time, so 18 books right here. And then I have another 1, 2, 3, 4 small presses that I use as well. So I can really churn them out as like, you can't do it too quickly, but it does. You can get through a lot more, obviously, with more space, more presses. So,
and a suit for Sunday,
and a suit. Yeah, I could press a suit for Sunday. Yeah, that's true.
You can make your own T-shirts. Come on, there's endless possibilities.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I started with T-shirt presses actually, and I
really?
I'd press books at one point, and then I do like iron-ons for my kids. The next day. But I moved on to the dry mount presses, which are far superior to press books with. Right.
Yeah, that was one of my questions because, oh shoot, I forgot my list of questions up front. Can you explain that a little bit? I mean, maybe that's our first question. Is you did a episode I watched showing your presses, and I noticed they were dry mount laminating presses versus our clamshell $200 or less t-shirt presses. Are there a big difference between those?
I find that I started, like I said, when I first started looking into pressing comic books, I started with an old t-shirt press, like an old 1970s t-shirt press, and I got some pretty good results out of it, but I was never 100% satisfied with it. And when I finally went with the dry mount press, the results were immediate. Same technique, same everything, but just using a different machine, all of a sudden the books were coming out far better. So I don't know if the pressure is just greater or if it's more uniformity with the heat and the platen. I'm not sure, but I swear by these. I try to discourage people from. I mean, we can buy a pretty. Well, to be honest, the prices I've seen have gone up. I think the collectors know, and it's driving the prices of these dry mount presses up, because I always keep my eye open to buy used ones, and they're not as readily available as they once were. But I tell people, if you're going to go out and spend $200-300 on an Amazon Chinese made t-shirt press, keep your eye open for a 1970s Seal or Benfang, and you'll be. I think you're going to be a lot happier with the results of the press, for sure. So, anyways.
Yeah, I'm always trying to look for used ones, but when I first started pressing about a year ago, I saw them every once in a while, and I was like, okay, I'm getting like you said, I'm getting decent results on here. I'm not doing great at it or anything. And I saw a few pop up here and there for a little bit of money. I'm like, wait, it'll come down a little bit more, and I'll wait. And now if I do see them pop up, they're gone in a day. They do not last anymore.
Well, the big ones like these 500, 550 Ts, they're about used around the older ones, like from the 1990s, 80s, 90s. They're probably around 500 or 600, up to 800 Canadian. The digital one I have, my nice one right there. That's to buy that new is like a $6,000 machine. It's not that old. This one here, I picked that up dirt cheap. I was really lucky. I just lucked that I could have stumbled upon it. The guy was closing down his photography business. He just wanted to get rid of it. It weighs a ton. And I shipped it across the country. I think I paid less than $1,500 delivered. It was great. But it was fantastic. But again, there's that Captain Mike's. I'm sure you know about this Captain Mike's pressing page. He talks about different techniques. He actually modifies those t-shirt presses. He gives you tips on how to modify those Chinese presses to make them a little more so you can get better results from your press. So you can always do that, but I mean, I just rather go and buy a dry mount press. Just keep your eye open on just keep your eye open. Before you know it, one will pop up and you can grab one.
I've priced those. I've looked up the ones you have, and you do find them, but they are expensive, relative, of course, to what you can get on Amazon. Again, in the $800 to the $1,000 range.
Totally.
For the older ones from the 80s and stuff, which seems to be the ones that people gravitate towards.
But I mean, if you can pick up a t-shirt press for a good price, it's a great way to start the ball rolling and start learning how to do it. Right? Cool. You got to start somewhere. So they're fantastic for that. They're not as heavy. They don't take up as much room. And so you can learn on them, right? So, and like I said, if you can modify it to suit your needs, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the chat, people are just joining. We have Kevin, the comic doctor from Canada here, expert in pressing. Please be sure down below in the description is all of his links, IG, YouTube, his webpage. Please be sure and sub him up. Check out his videos. And if you've got any questions about cleaning and pressing, definitely throw them into the comments and we can see about getting to that.
Yeah.
So we just talked about, that's why we got sidetracked before the show.
All right.
We were talking about toys.
Uh-huh.
He's got a couple of great videos on his Planet of the Apes collection. So he's definitely more, and in his last video was great about a bunch of Golden Age comics he had just pressed, which were really cool. And that was one of my questions, was with Golden Age books, they tend to have more of like almost a stiffer cardboard cover. They tend to be a bit more prone to creases and such. Can you talk a little bit about the process between like doing some of the Golden Age books? I'm really curious in that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, some of the DC stuff, like the Detective Comics, the old action
Mhm.
books, and
And the actions, yeah.
the Whiz books, those tend to have a little thicker cover. But what's kind of nice about it, though, even though they're a little thicker, the paper is still, I don't know, it's pulpier. It can take in the humidity really nicely. So if the book isn't like brittle and toast, if the book is still in relatively decent condition, not like, there you go, right? It'll actually press out really good. And oftentimes when you have creases in a book like that, a little bit of prep work, and in some cases the creases will disappear completely. Sometimes the Golden Age books are a lot more forgiving than a bronze book or a silver book, even with those thicker covers. Now, if you're talking about covers like The Killing Joke or those modern books that are thick card covers, those are a little bit different. Those can be a little bit sticky to work with because there's a gloss on them. If those have significant dents in them, those are usually you're going to have some kind of remnant. But with the Golden Age books, like I said, if the book's paper quality is decent, you can oftentimes make some really good improvements to creases or defects in Golden Age books.
So we know you're in Canada.
Yeah.
And we've had buyers in Canada in the Great White North.
Yeah.
And what have you worked out a good because we had a question over here. Have you worked out a good process of maybe us Americans if we wanted to submit something to you, cost wise in terms of shipping and then you shipping back and have you come across that with us Americans and got any good recommendations?
I have a lot of American clients, actually. It's funny. I have one client out in California who sent me probably almost 100 books now. I've got another fella in Baltimore who sends me Sports Illustrated magazines constantly. Well, he wants to send them constantly. I got to say, no, wait, because I'm too swamped. But no, I have a lot of American clients, and I've kind of worked it out now where it just kind of becomes a more seamless process. I often recommend people use FedEx Ground. It seems to be the most economical way to send books to me. But the big problem with sending from the United States up into Canada is you got to be careful with the customs declaration forms. You really got to indicate in bold, the books have not been sold. The books have not been sold. They're being sent to Canada for conservation purposes and will be returned to the owner once the process is complete. So you have to specify that. Otherwise, customs will think it's a sale item and they'll charge HST or the tax on that or customs fees, and it becomes a nightmare. Also, this is the part that I don't love, but if you put down, say you're sending me a Hulk 181 and it's worth $4,000, just for argument's sake, as soon as you put $4,000 down in a customs form, they're going to red flag that. Whether I send to the States or it comes up to Canada, either way, customs is going to flag it. And oftentimes they're going to charge some pretty hefty customs fees. So what I tell people because the fellow down in California, he just sent me actually an Avengers 1, a Hulk #1. That's not #1, sorry, Hulk 181. But what he did is he valued his box at $50. Scary.
Scary.
Yeah, it's scary. But you got to remember, when CGC sends books back to me in Canada, every single book is $5. So a box of CGC books is never more than $125. And even if it's an AF-15 or an Avengers 1 or a Hulk 181, it's $5. $5. It's coming to Canada. Now I have insurance, business insurance that covers shipping back and forth, Bailey's insurance. But what I tell people from the United States or even from the other side of Canada, if you're going to ship books to me, spend a little bit more money on getting the books here quickly. Maybe do the international economy where the books are in my hands in 2 days. And FedEx has been really excellent. I've done this with the United States probably for 6 or 7 years. I've never had an issue. So spend a little bit more money. Instead of spending money on the insurance, I'd spend money on getting the books to me fast. Once the books are here, they're insured.
All right.
Right.
So we had several questions come through. Jeff,
Sure.
of course, butt in at any time if you had specific questions.
I got a ton of questions.
Huh?
I got a ton of questions. So let's go through everyone's questions here.
If I could add just one thing too, by the way, for American clients, CGC doesn't ship the books back to me. I have them shipped directly from CGC to my American clients. So it's not going back and forth and back and forth. They come to me, they go to CGC, and then they go to they'll be returned back to you in the United States. In Canada, it comes back to me first, and then I ship them out. Yeah. It's cheaper. Don't ask, but it is.
Yeah. So you actually had a video on this question from that Matthew's asking, how do you get older presses repaired? And I saw that you actually went through a couple of the main parts that fail on those older pressers. One was your start stop was your
the switch,
the on switch, and then the other was the thermostat.
Yes.
And other than that, you just have coils, which probably wouldn't fail or anything. But I mean, go ahead and talk a little bit about that if you.
These presses are they're not the most complicated machines, right? They're like an oven or like just a heating element. That's all it really is. So any like appliance repair shop should be able to figure out and fix any wiring issues. But yeah, things can fail. And the two things that I've noticed fail frequently, especially if you're using them a lot, are the on-off switch. So the on-off switch on the little guys down here, you can still buy them from, Circuit City or Home Depot. They still sell these little switches. So I've changed a few of those out. The thermostat, on the other hand, is a little tricky. On the older ones from the older presses from the 70s, they're mechanical thermostats. They're not digital like this one here. So you have to take the thermostat out and then you have to clean it really well. And you got to basically clean the contacts. I mean, I'm a little bit handy. So for me, it's like I work on cars and I can build stuff. So I'm pretty handy that way. And if you're pretty handy, you should be able to figure it out. No, not, with ease. But I mean, if it's something that's you're not good at working with electronics and stuff, you might want to take them over to some kind of like I said, an appliance repair shop or what have you. Now, the thermostats on the old machines can be purchased still. And the place is called, if I remember correctly, D&K Photography Supply, I believe. But the thermostats for the 160s, the old ones, they're about $150, I think, for just that thermostat. That's why I just fix mine. I'm not going to pay that kind of money I don't think I paid that much for the press.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was equating it to like thermostats in older cars, and there's two types. One is wax. There's wax thermostats that actually the wax will melt and then harden to open and close the thermostat. But the other, I think, what you're talking about is it has a different type of metal in there that will bend.
Right, that's exactly right.
Temperature that will then open or close the contact to stop it at a certain temperature.
That's exactly right. And those contacts I've taken them apart. They're filthy. They're just all covered in corrosion and whatever. You get some emery paper, you clean them up, put it back in. Put a little bit of Vaseline and just kind of wipe it down a bit. Put them back in. I found, they're not the most accurate you gotta play with those thermostats a lot. But I mean, the problem with the thermostats the most are if they fail is they could spike. So if you've got a comic in there, a modern book that you don't want to put a lot of heat on, you walk away to get a drink, you come back and your thermostat's 250 degrees. Your machine's 250 degrees, you just destroyed the comic book. You know, so you want to make sure at the very least the temperature maintains a steady throughout the process. When the thermostats fail, either it doesn't get to temperature or it spikes. It might be working really well one day and the next day it spikes out of control. So yeah, they can be worked on. I probably should do a video on how to clean the when I have time, I'll do a video on how to take it out and clean it because it's pretty simple to do.
All right. Jeff, we'll come back around. We'll come around to you now. I mean, you said you had a couple of questions. We'll just kind of go in a circle here.
Sure. No, just talking about for a lot of people out there who are watching this who don't have a press yet, still want to do something, take care of the comics a little bit more. What would you recommend that they get and use for a basic kind of a dry cleaning? Kind of what kind of materials they need for that? What can they do without a press to make their books look as best they can?
Let me grab one thing really quick. I'll grab a few things actually. I have a video on that as well too. I go over the different.
I figured we're going to talk to everyone, tell everyone to go down there because I'm sure you have everything all lined out for you.
Well, I don't go into too much. You know, I just have a video here and there, kind of giving some tips. I mean, there's some things I do that are proprietary that I think I do that maybe some guys don't do. I don't share that. I mean, everyone has their little trade secrets, I guess you could say. Yeah. But I mean, there's some pretty really basic.
Almost as much as art as it is, you know, the science of the time, temperature, pressure kind of thing. But there is a lot of art to this. And there's, like I said, every video I've seen, even Captain Mike, everyone does it a little bit differently. Like you said, everyone's got their own way of doing it. So I totally understand.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of prep. It's like, I always say this, you want to prep the book before you even put it anywhere near that press. That's the thing. People get excited. They want to jump in the press quick, but that's when problems can arise. If you don't prep the book properly, all sorts of things can go wrong. Right. And that's true with anything you do. You know, if you don't, prime your drywall before you paint it, it's going to look awful, right? So you have to do the steps. But getting back to your question, one of the most important tools for dry cleaning is right here, the Mars, Steadletter Mars eraser. This can be picked up at Michael's or any art store. You know, up here in Canada, we have a store called Curry's. It might be down in the States too. I don't know if it's exclusively a Canadian store, but they sell these, and they're about a buck each, and these are fantastic. These are nice because some erasers will erase your marks on your comic book. This will too sometimes, depending on how much pressure you put in. But some of the cheaper ones will make a mess. And so you have to. I found this is a great one to use right here. So that's the first thing you want to use.
Everyone write that down.
Yeah, and then of course you've got your Chem Sponge. This one here has been used, as you can see.
Yep.
And you've probably seen these. You can pick these up on Amazon. They're about $10 a sponge, I think, and this actually comes in a brick, and you just cut the brick down. Yeah. So this is a great one too to get the surface. If you have opened your book, for example, and your splash page is really filthy, this will clean it up really nicely. If you've got a modern book that has kind of black grime on it, on the color, even wiping this over top will remove that. It's like a magnet to dirt. It's really quite nice. There's a couple of tools there.
Right. Yeah, and so everyone knows for that eraser one, don't use it on color parts of a book.
No.
Only on the white spot. But that sponge you can use on color parts of the book.
You can, but it will take off color too. But it's not as aggressive. It's not as aggressive, so you can't. And of course, this is a great little tool I have here for doing fine detail erasing. I'll go a little closer there if you'll see.
That can actually make you big. There you go.
Oh, there we go. So this here is an eraser pen. So this here has got a refill. I'll press the button there. Whoops, there we go. And that's basically eraser material there. So if you're working on a very fine area, you can erase as though you're drawing. Let me push the button and get it back in there. There we go. So there you see it right there. See, and then you can press the button and it's goes out. So this is a great little tool if you want to work on fine areas. This is a nice one here. And you should always have some kind of a shield when you're working, because invariably you're going to hit that colored area and take a little bit of it off. So if you have a shield, and I'll grab that. I'm sorry, I should have had this prepared. 1 second, I'll grab it.
Yeah. So I'll also, I have a little. Okay. What you got
Yeah.
there?
So that's a shield you get right. Again, this stuff is available at all the different art
That's cool.
stores or Michaels. So you put this over top of an area you're working on. It protects the other areas of the color, and you can work on. It can guide you so you can protect certain areas. So little things like that should be in your toolkit when you're doing dry cleaning for sure.
Yeah, for me, I pulled out my bag of dry cleaning tools. So I have
Nice.
like white gloves. I also have a pack of acid-free tissue paper that I lay down, and then I also put my hand on top of
Yeah.
whenever I'm working. I have my magic. Well, first I always go over it with a microfiber cloth. Then I usually do the magic eraser, and you can see how much gunk I've taken off. My assorbine sponge.
Same thing. Yeah.
I have tried the assorbine glob, the pink stuff that you can pull out. I don't like it as much as I do the assorbine sponge.
Sucks. And you got to be careful with that magic eraser too. There's only certain magic erasers you can get.
See, I don't use the magic eraser. I don't even go there. I know a lot of guys do. Again, to each his own. I just always get worried about the chemical thing. I don't want to do that.
That's right. Yeah, there's certain magic erasers that don't have the added chemicals, and some do. So I mean, I don't use it either, but you gotta be careful because you can just grab anyone that's on there.
Yeah, you can't grab anyone. Really you gotta get the one without the chemicals. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then this is what I use instead of the mechanical. This is Arteza erasers. And you can get a fine point. You just do it like sharpen it like a pencil, and you get a fine point. And it has a little brush on the end, so you can brush away the pieces and stuff, and you can really get into the white spots and stuff. So this is what I use. And then I have and I don't use this too often, similar to what yours is.
Yeah.
I just found this to always give me much more control and such. And really the assorbine is the biggest thing. You can see the gunk and stuff there. So Brad had a basic question. What factors make a book good candidate for pressing? Any kind of tips about I'm sure there's, and I guess probably some of this I think would go into one of my other questions, is maybe what you're wanting to move the book to and from in terms of grade. To me is where maybe this question falls in. But do you have any opinion on just that as a basic question, him throwing it out there?
Well, I mean, if you look at I tell people I don't press the books unless they absolutely need them, right? And I'll be honest, probably 98% of the books I get are heading to Sarasota once I'm done. That's a service everybody wants now. No matter how long the wait is, everybody wants their books graded. So again, they come through my shop, I look at them, and most books will need a little press. The modern books, they're so picky about the modern books. I do mostly modern books, so I'll talk about that. Even the slightest little tick or dent or finger bend is going to drop you from a 9.8 to a 9.4, but everybody wants the 9.8, right? So even if it looks like it's a minor little imperfection, you want to fix that imperfection, right? Books that are like really far gone, like the spine's all ratty. I have a couple of examples. I'm not going to get up and get them now. Actually, a guy gave me a copy of the first Falcon, and the whole front cover's ripped off, like the whole half of the. I'm like, well, what's the I pressed it, no charge, just make it look a little nicer for him. But I mean, the grade's not going to change on it, right?
At that point, the grade's not going to change.
Grade, it's going to be a 0.5, and that's that. So some books, if they're so far gone, there's no point. Will they look a little nicer? Probably. They'll clean up a little bit and they'll look smoother, but will it improve the grade? Probably not. So it really depends on what it is you're trying to achieve, right? Also, books that are brittle, like really brittle, I say don't take the chance. I kind of stay away from those books now. If I see a real brittle book, even if the customers really want me to do it, I'm like, I really don't want to, because I think you're opening up a can of worms with brittle pages. You can oftentimes, the press, even if you humidify the books, I don't find you're going to get as good a press as you would with a book that has obviously better page quality. So I just kind of say, leave it alone. Live with it being brittle and be done with it, because I think you can make it worse if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that brings up a good question too, was, when do you decide, or what age of a book do you decide humidity would be the best way to do it?
I'm going to tell you, humidity always helps. I'll tell you,
Even with modern books and everything?
Yeah, even with the modern books, you don't leave it in for too long. You don't leave it for 2 days or anything like that. But and you know how to humidifying a book is really a simple thing to do. And if anybody doesn't know, all you need is a small Tupperware bin, a little bit of water, or a baby diaper with saturated, or a bit of a towel, a wet towel. A wet towel is probably the safest thing to do. And then something to raise up the book and then lay it down. And you're going to leave it there for about 6 or 7 hours. You're going to get a nice humidification. And I find it relaxes the fibers on all books. Those books, the new modern books that have the waves in it because of the ink saturation, I find if you humidify those books, you get a better press out of them. Of course, books from the 70s and 80s, any book I think will take. Some books that are really damaged. Like I just finished an ASM 129, and I had to take the book apart. I didn't want to, but the book had been water damaged, and the page quality was, it wasn't brittle, but it was the book had a weird texture to it. It was really hard. And if I would have pressed it, it would have created creases. It was kind of warped. So I took the staples out carefully. I laid it out, and I humidified the whole thing, and I pressed the cover flat, and then I pressed the whole book together, the inside. And then I came out of the press, and the book had caused those creases I was taught. So I spot pressed every single page, got it beautiful. Anyways, put all back together again, and she looks fantastic. But I had to humidify. If I didn't humidify that book, it would have been a mess. It would have been just like a terrible mess.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions. A lot of times, we'll say modern books is, just from the act of it being shipped, to you and you picking up from the rack, there may be just, like not a color breaking tick, but it's like bend or something just from it being handled, pulled out of the box, put into the box, things like that. And I was always kind of under the assumption that you could maybe get those types of defects out without humidifying fairly easy. But I've never pressed anything in my life. That's just a novice, talking. But are you suggesting even in that case, just for those little things, even humidifying the book?
Yeah, I find, I think it does. It does relax the fibers in the book. Do you have to do it again? It's by a case-by-case, situation. I don't humidify every single modern book. It just depends on what the book needs. If it just has a little dent in it, I don't need to humidify it. It'll go in the press. If a modern book has severe creases, I like to use a really high heat on those books. A high heat that in most cases will damage that book, but I prep the book in such a way that I protect it. And so, the other day I did a Strange Academy #1, right? I did that book, and it had, I don't have any books around. I have no books around me. They're all packed away. Well, here.
What kind of press are you? No comics around you.
I know. I just use this as an example here. This is another book, but it was a Strange Academy #1, and it had kind of like, by the staple, it had like a little pinch by the staple. So I pressed it once, see if it would come out. No, it didn't come out. So what I did is I humidified it. I did a little bit of, I'll show you what I use. I don't care. These little tools I use, and you've seen these probably online.
I have not. Hold on, let me make you big real quick.
I'll get a bigger one as well too. These types of tools here, they're excellent.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what I would do is this one here is a little more narrow. It's not a very big one. I gently just kind of massage that little pinch. I massaged it, right? Kind of pushed it back down. Then I did that high heat trick, came out, gone. Beautiful. Perfect. The book's now going to go from a 9.4, 9.6. It's probably going to come back a 9.8. I'm pretty sure it will. So yeah, I mean, every flaw is different, right? You figure out the different techniques you can to to tackle each problem that arises or that's presented to you. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So-
How often do you use like? Because I haven't done it yet, and it's something I've been looking into doing. Compare regular press than just stuff like, obviously it's not going to get out some of the indentations in the middle of a cover or something like that. So if you use the tack iron or something like that, or like one of those tools or ball bearings or something like that, how often do you use those, or does the press get out 90?
No. I'm going to tell you right now. I did a video on fails. I don't know if you saw that one or not. Pressing fails.
I did. I felt a little bit queasy, so
Yeah,
I didn't make it through all of it.
There's another one coming that I that I want to show, and that's what I'm trying to talk about. That's the prep work. That's not priming your wall before painting it. That's just throwing a book, in between a couple of release papers and throwing them in a press and saying you're done. Baloney. You're not done. There's so much more prep work before the book goes in the press. And what you're saying with the ball bearings and such, yeah, I use that a lot, man. I use them a lot, especially those finger bends. You have to use those things. There's other little tricks I do, but for the most part, if it's not too severe, those ball bearings will make your life so much better. They're awesome. And you can even use marbles, like just little glass marbles, whatever. I mean, whatever you have handy, you can use. And they do an excellent trick. Now the tacking iron, I use the tacking iron more for spine problems and spine issues. If the inside of a book, if there's like, a dog ears, I'll smooth those out. I use my tacking iron on that Punisher book today, when I was talking about how it came out of the press all with the ripples. It was, it had previous water damage, so I reintroduced some moisture and I used my tacking iron to smooth that all out. So it has its uses too, but I don't tend to use my tacking. I always have it on, but again, it's only used for certain problems. Yeah. Issues.
Yeah. I mean, how hard is it to get water damage out of books?
Out of books? Well, I'll tell you, I don't get into it. There are some guys out there, there's a guy on there. What's it? The Jitterbug guy, I think his name is. He's really quite good. He shows techniques on how to get water stains out of the books. I tried it. I've played with it. I don't want to get into that. I don't have time to get into that.
I heard it's a big process.
The Immaculate Presser will show some where he takes the book to a bathtub, and I'm just like, oh. No, there's no way I'm sticking a giant. And he showed a giant size X-Men #1 in a bathtub. And I'm just like, that is crazy.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. And could I do it? Probably. But I'm going to tell you guys, I've got about 1,500 books always in rotation here. That's how busy I am. So I don't have time to stop and, I'm going to take the water stain out and spend 3 hours on a water stain. That's not happening. So if you want a water stain gone, I'm not your guy. You want to go to that gentleman you just mentioned, or the Jitterbug guy, I think his name is on there. And some of the other guys will do it too, like I think Sanderson Studios, those guys, the more the restoration guys. I don't want to get into that. I'm strictly pressing and cleaning. And also when you try to get a water stain out, and the techniques, the Immaculate Science, whatever his name is, the scientist, comic scientist is using, sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. So I don't want to get into that at all, because I just, no. The other day I did a job for a fella. He wanted me to take some restoration off of an ASM #6. And it had a Stanley signature. It was green. It was purple label. Anyways, he wanted me to had minor color touch. And I said, I really don't want to get into that. I think you should send it to CCS or to one of the other guys. He goes, oh, come on, Kevin, just try it. And you kind of, okay, I'll try it. So I took it apart. I looked at it. I saw where the colored touch was. I said, you know what? Okay, I'll do my best. So I start taking it off. It's coming off pretty easy. Here's a little bit more. And then next thing I know, as I'm looking at it, I'm seeing more and more, and it becomes an absolute nightmare. And the spine ends up deteriorating to the point where it was like almost a split. I'm like, I just had a headache the whole day because of that. I'm never doing that again. I don't profess to be a restoration remover. I don't, I can detect it, but I don't want to get into removing it, because it's just it could be a nightmare, and I'm not set up for that here. So I don't want to do that anymore. So
sure, you get a lot of volume going through there. Todd had a good question.
Yeah, you have a couple of questions lined up. The first one was from Roby, asking about temperature, and I'm sure I'm not sure if you can just name off temperatures like you'd use for silver, copper to modern. or is this, I think 140 to 170 I've always heard is
170 is getting hot. 170 is getting hot. You don't have to go that hot. And I mean, I do about it depends, 145 to 150, 153. That's kind of where you need to be.
And for how long?
To be honest, if you can leave a book in a press to cool, that's the best. But that takes forever, and I'll never get anything done if I do it that way. But I mean, for guys who are doing it at home, yeah, stick your comics in the press, and turn the press, get the press up to heat where you want, at the temperature you want, and then just turn it off and walk away and come back tomorrow, and your book will be nicely cooled and pressed nicely. So I try to time it so that I can do that. Like before I go to bed, I'll fill these babies up so they'll cool overnight. The next day I come in. The way it usually works is I put them in the big press first, let them cool naturally, and then I'll take them out and do touch-ups. And any problem areas, I'll hammer them really quickly and then put them in the smaller presses and do a cold press right after. So I'll stick them in for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll cool them for about 5-10 minutes, and then that should usually do the trick. But that's after I've done a full, in the press for several hours. That makes sense? I'm sorry if I jumped around there. But
And just to be clear, so everyone knows, you only put the heat on for a couple minutes, and then you keep it in there for 5, 6, 12 hours, right?
Yeah, my hydro bill would be crazy. Imagine if I left the heater on all the time. Yeah, you get up to heat, throw them in, close the press, turn it off. Yeah, you don't have to have the heat. Yeah, they maintain the heat for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard pressers talk about, I'd leave it in there for like 10 minutes or something. That always seemed weird to me. You can on heat for that long, and then you let it cool like 6 hours or 8 hours.
No, I don't do that. I mean, to me, that makes no sense. I mean,
it didn't to me either.
No, I'll keep them, like I said, I'll keep them in the big press sometimes for 7 hours, because these suckers that one will take about probably 4 or 5 hours to cool after 155, and then turning it off. If I have my window open, it's cold air, it's a bit quicker. But if it's just in the house, it takes about 4 to 5 hours to cool to the touch. And then, like I said, I take them out and I inspect every single one. And if there's a stubborn area that needs a little more attention, then it goes into the smaller press. And those I can do quick. Those little problems I fix quickly. And then usually, if the spine needs a little more touch-ups, I'll use my tacking iron to pop up some dents or whatever. And then away you go. But there's no way you just throw up a book in a press and then it comes out and it's done. I don't know how anybody can do it that way. It's not me. Oftentimes a book will go in 2 or 3 or 4 times before I'm satisfied. Maybe that's why I got such a backlog. I don't know.
So Todd's asking about parchment paper. Now I've seen the sandwich thing, which is like mainly magazine boards, maybe some high pound, 45 pound or so paper. But then I'm assuming on the outsides, I've seen people use silicone paper. And I guess some people also use parchment paper, on the outsides.
Mm-hmm.
What's your sandwich? I mean, if you don't want to give away trade secrets, that's fine, but
ham and cheese. I love ham and cheese. Tuna's good. Yeah. I've used all those things. You got to be careful, because like Teflon paper was kind of cool, but Teflon paper,
that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
But Teflon's has got a, if you look very closely, a Teflon has weaves. Yeah, so you're going to get weaves in your comic. So Teflon, no thanks, it's gone. So I found parchment paper is the cheapest way to do it, and it's actually quite effective. But you got to be careful, because parchment paper deteriorates. So you can use it only once or twice or 3 times, and then if you're humidifying the books, especially, parchment will tend to warp. And if it warps, it'll put that warp into your comic, and then you've got another 2 hours of work to get that out of the comic that you just put, so you gotta be really careful. So parchment does work, but the other stuff you mentioned was the white silicone paper. That stuff's not bad either. It's expensive, but I find that stuff, it warps too. It warps as well. It's a little thicker than parchment, but your best bet is parchment. You can buy a whole box of parchment from Uline. Man, I've had my box for 6 years. I haven't gone through it yet. They're big sheets of parchment. Just cut them down to size.
Just come out.
Yeah.
Parchment, That's the way to go. Oh, and I don't put the comics into the press with a magazine board like this, because all you're gonna have is the magazine's gonna fall off your board. It's too weak. So what I do is I might use a magazine board for a nice smooth texture, yes, but I always use like again, I go to the art store and I buy a nice illustration board, and I might put the magazine on top of that because I want some stability. I see some guys use aluminum. I think that again that scientist, I don't know, is it?
Immaculate. He does aluminum,
he sells,
he also does. He sells them too. Yeah.
Stainless steel people use.
Yeah, you can do all that yourself. I mean, you can do all that. I just found this stuff is, if it wears out, I go to the art store, I get some more, and I cut it up, and it's fantastic. But I would assume aluminum's good as well too, and all that. I've never used it.
Are you looking for acid free always, or
all the stuff's acid free? Yeah, all my boards acid free. These are all acid free boards from the art store. So most card is sold that way nowadays. I find even it's just people don't want to create a piece of art and then it deteriorates because the acids in the paper kill your artwork. So you tend to get and you pay good money for a sheet of that. I'm paying like almost $10 for a sheet of a 4x4 sheet of illustration board. So it's not cheap either. Yeah, but again, paper over time will deteriorate and start warping. You have to replace it and replenish it and go from there.
Are you putting the magazine boards in the middle of the book and regular boards or anything?
I don't use magazine in the middle. No, I use I use paper. I cut paper to the right size, and you don't need to put. You start putting magazine boards in your comic books inside your you're going to pop some staples. So you want to be really careful. And another thing too, you don't have to put a whole hell of a lot of pressure on these books either. You don't have to cram them down. I know, which is really strange. Then it's like, well, why don't those little t-shirt presses work? I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't know the mechanics of it. All I know is these guys tend to press better, and you don't need as much pressure, to be honest. They put a lot of you. In fact, when I cold press, sometimes I don't even close it. I don't even push it all the way down. I don't lock it. I just close it because the weight of the platin's enough to cold press, right? So, anyways.
So, Emmanuel here asked, do press defects resurface sometimes when books are encapsulated?
Here's a cool experiment. Find a book that's got some damage on it. Work on it. Get the book exactly where you want it, and then humidify that book for an hour. And you're going to be amazed. All those problems come back, right? So yeah. If the books inside the the encapsulated slab are not properly stored, then I guess those, I don't think they're going to come back with a vengeance, but I think you can start seeing some of the book returning. That's why I tell people, I get guys, can I press these 20 books? I go, do you want them graded? No, I'll grade them later. I go, don't press them right now. Wait. When you're ready to grade them, then press them. Don't press them. Wait.
That mistake. Yeah, I made that mistake. I have a stack of books that I paid, Silver Age books. I paid a lot of money to get, and I'll grade them later. And all the defects came back.
All of them came back. Wow.
Well, I mean, not all of them, but the noticeable ones around the staple and stuff came back to like my first Catwoman appearance. I
remember. Number 70 there. But you got to remember. Oh, you're talking the earlier one.
The Lotus Lane. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, number 70. Okay, yeah. I just did one of those today. But invariably, what's going to happen. You put them in a long box, and then what happens? Clunk, they all fall over. And then
exactly.
And there goes your pressing job. So yeah. And when I'm done pressing the books, I should have had all this stuff ready. Hold on. When I'm done pressing the books to avoid, like I ship the books to CGC, I got a box right there ready to go. I got another box out in the hallway. I got to finish packing for tomorrow. But every book gets a 56-point board and a 24-point board. So, I don't know if you can see how thick those are. These are from Comic Pro line. I think they're available in the States now. They're from up here in Canada. The guy who manufactures these, they're nice and thick. So it gives that comic some rigidity when it's being traveling down south to Sarasota. I just don't want the books to get all banged up and battered on its way down. So I try to give it as much protection as possible when they leave here, right? So, and sometimes I even double it up and do 256 points like that. That ASM 129, it got two of these babies, so it wouldn't move and it'd be nice and snug in the sleeve. on its voyage to Sarasota. So if the book is introduced to humidity, your problems can return. To answer your question, Emmanuel.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, what other questions did you have there? I know we're getting. I want to be conscious of everyone's time and everything here.
If you're pressing sending them to grade now, you're pretty much waiting to get them graded. So I guess talking about the slow times with CGC.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying there, Shutter Duck, but I'm talking if you're waiting 2 years to get them graded after getting pressed. I mean, you got to remember, and you know what? Things can happen. I've seen books come back from CGC, and I'm looking at the book and going, that wasn't there when I sent it. I know. Yeah. I have a standard. I go through the books before they leave me. I'm not going to send a book down there that's got a dent in it. Like I just don't do that, right? What's the point? So when I get books back and they've been dented, or there's a we've all done videos on CGC issues and quality control and that sort of thing, right?
A few of them,
of course. You got to remember the books arrive there, they go to receiving, they sit in receiving for God knows how long, unless you happen to have high value books in there. And then once they get taken out of receiving, those guys unpack them, then it goes to another place where they sort them, and then another guy takes them to grade them, and then another guy takes them to encapsulate them. So it's going from one hand to another hand to another hand, and not being bagged and board. So the chances of something happening to that book probably are certainly there. I don't know what the odds are or what the statistics are, but I mean, it's certainly there. But I mean, yeah, that's the way it goes. I don't think the books are going to be damaged necessarily. Anything could happen, but I don't think that the books are going to revert to their old ways over the course of 6 or 7 months. I don't think so. Maybe I guess it could. I don't know. I like to shrink wrap my books when I send them to CGC. I put them in bundles and I shrink wrap them. Yeah. Again, I could show you. Everything's out there. I don't want to leave again, but basically I take about 10 to 15 books and I shrink wrap them into bundles. So there's not a lot of play. I know guys put them in bags and they tape them together. I don't want to tape them together because I find that when you pull the tape off, you can damage the books that way. So the shrink wrap keeps them really nicely. Think about, how they shrink wrap their boats in the wintertime, and they shrink wrap or pallets or shrink wrap when they're sending equipment places. I kind of do that with the comics. I shrink wrap them. So, and then I put them in, I usually use CGC boxes to return them because there's so much padding around the edge. So there's not a lot of play, and the books don't move around a lot. And because they're shrink wrap, there's no moving back and forth. They're just kind of right there. So I try to combat that as much as I possibly can by sending it, mailing them down properly. So hopefully that works. Anyways.
So what is? I'll be honest. I did not look up what are. So I guess let me say it like this: is someone buying their own press, maybe doing some of their own work. Mm-hmm. Definitely hearing you talk about all the care and things that you go through as a professional can definitely see where the cost of sending something to you is well worth it, because you've been doing this for a long time. You got the tools, you got the knowledge, you got everything else that goes along with it. Well, what is your basic cost if someone wanted to send some things, and what's your wait times right now?
My cost, well, all my prices are on my website. You can go have a look there, but they're in Canadian dollars. So my basic press, and to be honest, I kind of did this. I increased my prices to try to slow things down. I'll be honest, didn't work. I put my prices up from 15 Canadian up to 20, up to 25 Canadian per comic. But I tell people that's based on a comic that's value should be around $500. But that's my starting place. I will not work on a book under $25 Canadian. And that's the first thing. And then if the books are worth over $1,000, I charge $100. From $1,000 to $2,999 to $100 for the book. Like that ASM 129 I did today, I took apart. That's $100, and he got a lot of work out of me for that one too, because I had to take it all apart. But then for books that are 3,000 and up, I charge 3% fair market value plus my base $25 fee. It's all outlined on my website there. Okay. So if you want to have a look, go ahead and do that. it seems to have worked for me, those prices anyways.
All right. You get a little compliment there from Las Cruces.
Thank you, Las Cruces. 1971. You turned 50 this year, just like me.
Oh yeah, that is on my notes. So I did see that in your video. Your birthday is on Halloween.
Yes.
So happy birthday.
Thank you.
Birthday.
Thanks, guys.
So, and the only other note I had on mine was crack, clean, and resub.
Yeah.
Is that a big part of your
Okay, I got to show you this. Hold on.
Good.
Only because they were just really close. So, give you an idea. The question is crack, clean, and resub.
Wow.
You do a few of those.
There's a few of those. These got to go back to have them taken out of the census.
Yeah.
And I have more over there too. I get so busy. Yeah, I do it a lot. And and I'll tell you, I'm going to show that. When I have time, and I mean, trying to do the YouTube thing is, I love doing it, but it takes up time. And I want to do another video on another fail video, because a fella came to my shop 2 weeks ago and he dropped off some high, like a giant size X-Men 1 and a couple of other really, really expensive books. And he paid someone good money to press and clean and grade the books. And they came back and they're all, it frustrates the hell out of me. I can't stand that.
I saw one of your videos where you were showing that on some stuff. So you keep saying shop. Do you actually have a comic shop, or you just have your pressing shop?
I have a shop. It's an office, really. I call it the Comic Doctor's office, and that's it's about 10 minutes from my. This is my workshop here, but I have an office where I meet clients, because it was getting to the point where, it was happening. People were coming here all the time, and there's a Mrs. Comic Doctor too, and she doesn't like that. So, so I said, So I found an office really close by. It's really convenient, and I have some books on the wall for sale too. And I might start pumping that a little bit more, but I don't want to spend time there, because I'm there, I'm not pressing. So like selling books is not my main mode of business. It's pressing and cleaning and submitting to CGC. But I have so many books, collections I've purchased over the years that I wouldn't mind unloading. So I have some stuff up for sale. But it's a small little office that I meet people every Saturday morning between 11 and 1. If you're ever in the area, in the GTA and Toronto area, come on by 11 to 1 o'clock in Oshawa there. Every week people are showing up, even unannounced. They just show up and here's our 50 books and 20 books and 10 books. And the wait times are oh, you're asking about wait times. I'm currently working on books from late May, June.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah. I'm trying to get, I have a couple of really, really big. If you watch What's in the Press tomorrow, I'm going to go through some of the books I'm working on this week. And like this one order from Montreal came in back in April, and it's like almost 400 books. And it's like, I've just finished. I did about 100 of them already. Now I'm going to hammer through another 100 the next 2 weeks, and then another 100. Anyways, but it's quality over, I want quality over quantity. I never want to get to the point which I think is where CCS is headed. And I think that's why people are complaining about CCS now, is because they're so damn busy that they're throwing them in for those quick presses and out the door, and everyone's complaining about the quality of the workmanship. And I think that just has to do with the fact that they're slammed, right? They're busy, And so am I.
All right. So we mentioned knowledge. We hadn't done a PSA in a long time. How about we do one of those? A little something about knowledge.
Hi, I'm Captain America, and I'm here to talk to you about one of the most important weapons in any soldier's arsenal: math. As a soldier and as an Avenger, I've seen some pretty exciting things. But you know what's really exciting? Reading.
Thanks, Cap.
Nice. Thank you, Cap.
So, all right. Hey, time has flown by. Y'all be sure and sub up Kevin the Comic Doctor. I've got all his links and everything below. If you're new to the channel, came and visit us just today to support Kevin, please sub me up. Of course, you're on my channel, so sub me up, but also sub up Jeff. His link is below, and both of our both of our link tree links are below. So you can find Jeff and I on IG. You can find us here on YouTube. We have a show every Monday at the same time, 7:30 Central Time, either on my channel or Jeff's channel. We usually alternate. So next week we'll be on Jeff's channel. Do you have a topic pick for next week, Jeff?
No, it's what we talked about. I'm going to do the Eternals. So obviously, the movie's coming out in just a couple weeks here, and not a lot of people know a lot about the Eternals. So I'm going to kind of go over the history of the Eternals and everything, so everyone kind of get ready, so they know what they're getting into for the movie.
Oh,
very excited! Very excited.
Yeah, I know, Kevin, you got something big going on, right? You got some.
Oh yeah, you got your big right? 1,000 subscriber giveaway coming up.
Right? I'm almost there. It's taking forever, but I'm almost there. Yes, I'm at 908 subscribers. I think. Yeah, please sub up. When I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to have a pretty big draw. I'm giving out 5 $100 Comic Doctor gift cards. So I'm going to give out, 5 of those. So if you're new to pressing, if you win, you might get some free pressing and cleaning from me, and I'll do that free of charge, obviously, if you win. And I'm also giving out a few graded books. I have a She-Hulk #1 I'm giving out. I'm also giving out a Moon Knight #1. They're not graded yet, but I'm going to clean and press them, grade them, and have them mailed directly to you. And I think we're going to have a copy. Yeah, so a lot of nice prizes. Who knows? Other things might pop up as I go along. You know what's really great? I got a lot of fantastic subscribers in my community right now. The Moon Knight #1 was actually donated to me by Hugh, who's a longtime supporter. And then another, Jamie Knott, another one of my previous winner, gave me a first appearance of Doomsday, and I think it's a 9.6 or 9.4. I'm giving out that for free as well, too, at the 1,000 subscriber mark. So come on over and subscribe, please.
Yeah. So there's a lot of a lot of our regular viewers here. So please, y'all go sub up the Comic Doctor, get him to 1,000. Thunder, of course, is asking for. So look up Thunder God Comics here on YouTube and help him get to 600. I just passed 300 myself, and I think Jeff is still looking for 100. Okay.
I don't promote my YouTube, man. Like I said, I just do this for fun. And when we first started this, I told Shelby, if it's just me and Shelby talking to ourselves on here, that's totally cool, because I just love talking about the history of comics. So I'm totally happy with that. And Kevin, you're at 909 right now. Oh, so yeah, nice. You're getting close.
Yeah, I think by Christmas I should be there. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'll get you there sooner.
Yeah, I hope so.
All y'all go sub them up. You're gonna get a coal in your stockings. So, and I know you have a Fantastic Four 1 there that you're gonna give me.
If you win, that's when I reach 100,000 subscribers.
100,000.
Show that thing off
by Christmas.
Yeah. Show it off one more time.
You want to see it?
Sitting there beside you. Show it off one more time.
All right. Let's see here.
A little eye candy for you before we go.
Yeah, before we go.
Oh, wrong one. What was it? Was this one you wanted to see?
Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at the flex right there.
Oh, wait, no, it must have been this one.
No. Dang.
No, he wanted this one right here. That's the one he wanted.
Wow.
Shelby's an FF fan.
Huge FF fan. That's beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been very fortunate. I was a big Spider-Man guy, so I was always looking to have a full run of Spider-Man from 1 to whatever it went to, and I just was tired of the boxes, man. I was tired of those long boxes, so I found a guy who wanted to do a full ASM run, and he had a lot of keys. This is going back like probably 9 years. He came over, we dollar for dollar traded. He took most of my ASM, books. I kept some of the ones I wanted, obviously. And then I got like a giant size X-Men 1. I got a Hulk 181, 180, 182. And they were all graded already too. I got a bunch of great books from him. And so that helped. And then after that, I said, you know what, I'm going to go for the keys. And so I've just been searching for the keys. And every year, like you said, Shelby, I put a little bit of money away. And then, I say, yeah, I got some income tax back. All right, I'm going to go buy this book or whatever. And so now I have most of them now, which is fantastic. My most recent was a Hulk #1. But I regret it because I gave out a lot of good books to get that have spiked since modern books.
Yeah.
I don't.
Modern,
Oh,
well, yeah.
breaks
Yeah,
breaks my
I,
heart. Breaks my heart
yeah.
how they've just gone crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
but that's the
missing.
one nice thing is modern books are easy to get. Hulk one is not.
I
Hulk one
know,
is not. Hulk
but
one is
when the
never
modern
good.
but when the modern books jump up like 35-40%, and then the Hulk only goes up like 7%, I'm like, oh, like I
Yeah.
should have just paid cash for the Hulk. Oh, I'm a big complainer. I'm a big whiner. You know.
I've only got Hulk number one.
Yeah, heck with it. Rah, rah, rah. It's a white pager too, so it's not so bad. But it's all done. It's all done.
Ooh.
I don't think people can. The average Joe can't even get into these anymore. These books, I don't think. I think it's just done.
No,
I think.
no,
Yeah.
no, they've gone out. I had dreams of maybe getting the Hulk 1 through 5, you know. Yeah, I understand that's never gonna happen, you know, but you know, that's fine. That's fine. You know, we have other dreams we can work on. So
The one way you can get them though, and I see a lot of people do. I'm sorry, we gotta get going, I think here, but the one way a lot of my clients who are looking for those big books, they're doing what you said, Jeff. They're finding those easy to find modern books, and they're, you know, for example, you find an Ultimate Fallout 4, you find one that's a 9.0 that happens to have that polybag crease. You press that baby, it comes back a 9.8. You just made $2,000. So guys that are playing with the modern books and getting them graded, coming back with some good high grades, and you know, creating a little nest egg of cash to put towards some of these blue chip books. So that you have to make the collection work. You know, to help the collection helps build the collection, basically, right? Buying and selling to afford the other one, but it's a lot of work, a lot of hustle, a lot of work. I'm not saying it's not.
it is. It is. And we'll talk about that one day as a topic,
Sure.
you know, flipping and making the you know, hobby support itself. So I think that's a great topic we can talk about one day. All right, with that, I of course will be on Whatnot on Tuesday. I've got a big Halloween show planned with Sands on Halloween night, Sunday night.
Nice.
May 31st. I've been saving up some great horror. People always pick on the way I say horror, so scary books that I've been saving up to unload that night. So it's going to be nothing but a scary comic theme night for me. I'll decorate up the room here with some Halloween lights and maybe even be in a costume. So you never know. Jeff, what do you got going on this week?
Just the normal stuff. You know, obviously you got Whatnot on Tuesday or on Wednesday and Friday. Friday's obviously the big show. I'm doing a follower giveaway. So we're giving away more books again on there. And of course, you got the 9.8 slabs given away. Then Thursday, you know, in the Thunderdome. And then back on Sunday and Whatnot. And then Monday back here again, man.
Yeah, and y'all keep up with Jeff whenever he drops his show. He does mystery boxes that always get sold out prior to his show, and he gave away a killer signed Scotty Young book last week that my duck was running second the whole freaking race, and then
Pull the hammy.
So pulled a quacker. But y'all be sure and keep up with Jeff and those mystery boxes so you can get that entry into the duck race for those giveaways on Friday. So, all right. Kevin, anything else you wanted to plug, my friend?
Well, first of all, thanks again for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun. I love talking comic books and pressing and all that good stuff. I love doing that. Again, so thank you for inviting me here. And yeah, well, no, I guess the next time I'll be on YouTube is tomorrow. I think at 12:30, I'm doing my live What's in the Press. So if you want to see some of the books that I'm working on this week, come by YouTube to my channel on YouTube tomorrow at, I think, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of What's in the Press.
And you do that live?
I don't usually do it live, but I'm doing it live because there's no editing involved. I just go on and do it.
All my videos like that. Shelby is the editor. He does an amazing job.
I do a lot of editing on my stuff.
I can't. I don't have the patience. So everything I do is live.
Yeah,
it's easier, man. I like editing too, but I have no time. I'm just swamped. So
right.
A live show tomorrow. Woo!
All right. Make sure you guys
we'll
check that out. Kevin, thank you again.
Thanks,
thank
Jeff.
you again. You're welcome back anytime, my friend.
Oh,
you know,
thanks.
you don't have to talk shop. You know, you can come in and just, you know, share your knowledge because I can tell you're a real collector and you know, have a lot of knowledge of old expensive paper that you can definitely share with us. Hey, I just dropped a new video this afternoon about my trip to Collecticon last Saturday. You can see a lot of cool books that I picked up, including this one. So
yeah, the Shelby book.
Bobby Shelby, comic named after me.
Very nice.
Number one. But all right, with that, we're going to say good night, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. Please be sure to go sub up Kevin, the Comic Doctor. If you're new here, sub me up, sub up Jeff, and visit us on the multitude of social media. And with that, I'm going to say peace, love, and comics.
Comics.
Thank you all.
Right.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.